You are listening to the Data Hustle podcast, where data is turned into business impact. Today, we're joined by Gabriela Costa, an analytics engineer, team lead, and Indicium AI. Gabriela works at the intersection of engineering and the business, helping make sure data is reliable, documented, and actually ready to support decisions. What makes her perspective especially interesting is that she does not treat analytics as just technical craft. She talks about the communication layer behind it all. Good data work starts with asking better questions, understanding what the stakeholder really needs, and not jumping straight into SQL, dashboards, tools, and solutions. In her writing, she has shared practical ideas around discovery, dashboard validation, data modeling, and all kinds of analytics engineering goodies. So, Gabriela, thank you for joining us today. So, for the audience listening in, can you tell us something about yourself, your background, and how you got here?
Oh, great. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you guys. My background is actually international relation. So it is not computer science, statistics, or what usually people come from. My first contact with data happened while I was working an internationalization project for a startup here in Brazil. And there I had to do a lot of data analysis and something just clicked. I fell in love with the field and I really like it. And even before I graduated, I made the move to data. And I started as a data analyst for people analytics. And then I moved on to consultancy. And right now, I'm a data analytics engineer to lead in this consultancy. And I'm leading a team that I really proud of. Yeah.
Nice.
Good. I think let's just start off with first things first. When data people communicate to stakeholders, what do you see them doing wrong, and what would you suggest they change?
Oh, that's a great question. What usually I see people doing is that when we receive a request, like I need a dashboard, for example, I need a sales dashboard, they start right away asking things related to the dashboard. So, oh, what is the filter you need? Which filters you need? Which charts do you prefer? Things like that. And the problem with this approach is that they are assuming that the stakeholder knows what they want and that they actually need the dashboard that is the best solution to their problem. And I think this way, the problem is that you can get a lot of false positives in this way because you assume that they were requiring is actually what they need. So they need a dashboard. That's the problem. They don't have this data. But actually, there is a lot of things behind that that can happen. And a lot of things that if you do good questions, you can get there. And at the end, I think the problem is that if you don't get a lot of in this discovery, if you do the interview and but your approach is more related to the solution, you are focused on this. The problem is that probably you will start developing a solution that you think it is the exactly what they need, and it is not, and at the end the solutions falls out of use, so this can happen. So yeah, I think the biggest mistake is to assume that is exactly what they need and just asking things related to the solution.
Yeah, so I guess when they come to you and they tell you they need a dashboard before you start like finding out what types of charts you need to build, you need to understand the problem. And a step that a lot of people miss, and I believe we spoke about this, Gabriela, last time, is also what are the constraints or what they're looking for in a solution. Is it cost? Is it budget? Does it need to be done by Friday? Generally, knowing these little constraints can also guide you a bit. I'm kind of curious how does that conversation go with you? So let's pretend somebody comes to you and says, "I need a dashboard." Do you immediately ask them, "No, tell me the problem first," or do you have a more subtle approach to it?
Oh, great. What I like to do is to first of all, understand better the problem. So I like a lot of I like to divide this phase in two. One I call business discovery, but could be business interview, and another one data discovery. So in the business discovery, what I want to do there is understand their problem. So the idea here is to see, okay, you need a dashboard. So why you need that? Oh, I need because right now I don't have one. Okay, so okay, and why you don't have one? Oh, because right now what I'm doing is that I extract some Excel files from a system and I create something in Excel, for example. Okay, and how long you take to do it? And then I get in more in detail to understand how the process is being done right now. So for me, this is like one of the key questions. Why do you need this? How do you do it today? And then I move on to the solution, because this way I can understand actually if dashboard is the answer to their problem. If so, okay, then we move on to understand the questions that the dashboard needs to answer at the end, and what kind of decision they make to with the dashboard, with the information that we have there. But yeah, I believe that the most important thing for me in this business cover is to understand very deep what they need, what they actually need. And I think making good questions here is the key, of course. I have even like an example that happened to me like recently. I had a client that um, share with me, and that he already did the discovery. Like, oh, I did the discovery with the client and with the employees, and I already have everything that we need to do. And he even did like a workframe. Like, oh, there's the boxes here, and it just this filters, this charts, and we are good. And okay, I was like, oh, awesome. So let's see. And I realized that in this dashboard, we had 4 pages with a lot of like with tables, big tables. And I asked them why you need that, and he said, "Oh, people like to extract and analyze in Excel." And I asked them like, "Okay, and what they analyze in the Excel? What they build in Excel? Like what they are being able to answer in the Excel that the dashboard is not answering to them?" And he was not able to answer me this. So this is the thing. He was talking to the users only. Oh, what you don't like in this dashboard? What you want to change? What do you want here? Oh, I want a table. I want this. And he basically did the another approach that I was saying. So he was basically gathering a lot of requirements from them, and he was not actually understanding the decisions that they do with this information. So I think this approach of understand, okay, what you need, what decisions you do from this, what is the impact of these, how much time it costs for you, things like that. I think it is a better approach to make better decisions.
Yeah, I've always thought back when I was a dashboarding consultant, every time that somebody wanted to export something to Excel, I come to learn that it's for a lot of reasons. Sometimes there is the just in case, I don't know if there are going to be other requirements that I'm going to have in a few months, and I don't know if I'm going to have your time type of thing. There is the somebody in our team does a lot of complicated stuff that I don't understand, and it's like, oh, then we should have include that person instead of like allowing that person to export and do the things, because maybe we can automate some of that work already in the dashboard. There is sometimes like a feel for control or autonomy, like to still feel in control of the solution. And I think even if they don't export it, having that possibility there helps. So understanding the why it's always like very different from situation to situation can also give you more clarity to the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way, it's the famous saying: if you ask people before cars if what they want, it's faster horses.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
one of the things that I'm thinking of when I'm listening to you guys converse about this, obviously, one part of it is asking the right questions and understanding the business context. But what you're both kind of alluding to here is that sometimes there's a few more subtle and hidden signals when it comes to what somebody actually wants and why. So let's take it a step further. So let's say we did the business requirements, we actually delivered a solution. Now, how do you actually make sure that they are happy with it and the business is happy with it, right? Because I've seen this a lot in my experience as well. It's you deliver something that was agreed on, it was exactly in the requirements, and then you still get a bit of a lukewarm response. So, what do you suggest people do there?
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I think here I like to think in the solutions that are developed as a data product. And when you say product, is something that is live. So it has some cycles sometimes that you develop something that is great for the business, but answer the questions that they have today. Maybe and next month they need new requirements, and that's okay. So what I like to do is to make sure that I have a process to get these requirements, to see how for example, the dashboard, but could be another data product, are being using, they're being adopting, and things like that. So this way I can make sure that this product will continue serving people, will continue bring valuable to them. Because I see a lot of like data analyst, analytics engineer develop a solution, and yeah, it's done. I already, I finished this, and yeah, and treat things like a project. What is not, it is not like wrong, but it's the way to see it. But if you think more in the future and people adopting this, I think this kind of approach is something that has been working here. So usually I like to, even for example, I will say dashboard because I think it is the data product that is most famous. Sometimes in the cover, I like to put a button where people can click it and they go for forms. There they can say, oh, I want this new feature. I need this because of that. And then things like that. They can require new things. And it's not just like for when they have an issue with the data, but also to require new things as well. So this kind of thing, it is very important. And also get some measures as well, like how people are actually using the dashboard, they are seeing the dashboard, how frequently it is. Things like that I think could be help us here to see, okay, they're adopting actually the product. And yeah, I think that's one of the things. And one thing that helps me a lot is make sure that the solutions actually helping them to take decisions, because at the end when you're saying about data field, everything is about making decision. They want data because they want to make better decisions. So if you are able during the discovery process to show them the value of the solution to make better decisions, they will adopt it because it's exactly what they need to do on daily basis. So I think if even like before delivery, if you make sure that they are connecting, so you'll be fine, like, but after that, of course, it is not like the work is done. You will have a lot of things to do and continue improving the product.
Yeah, and sometimes learning about these important decisions that people in your organization make can actually help you being productive. Like, hey, I noticed that you have to make a decision by the end of the month. Would it help you if I provided you this information like 2 days before?
Yeah.
And you can potentially also be in the spot where you build solutions that people didn't know they needed.
Yeah, exactly. I even have, you were saying, and I remember just about something that happened to me. A client request a visualization would be about like scores for customers. So how much valuable this client is for me, for example. And I developed exactly how he asked it for. He was saying like, "Oh, I want this table with those columns. I need this visual." He was very specific, and I did exactly that. But when you look at that, I was like, he can take decision from this, not just with this information. And I knew this because I was in the discovery, and I got a lot of information about what decision they need to do. So when I looked at, I was like, okay, he needs more. He needs more metrics here to help. Because, for example, if Tony knows that Juan is the top score client that is very valuable to him, what he does with that? So he can do something. He can contact him, send an email on WhatsApp, whatever. But if you already did this yesterday, you won't do it today again, because then the customer Juan will be annoying. He'll be like, "Oh, okay, he's sending a lot of messages." But if you already see, for example, that you have 3 months that you don't contact him, then you will actually do something. So I proposed to him, okay, I realized that with this information, we can take decision from this. So how about we have this and that? And he was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed. I was thinking to extract from the dashboard and from the system and do something. And then he didn't know it was possible to do it. That's why he didn't ask it for. But how I map it, what they actually need and what decision he needs to do, I was able to propose things like that. And for example, right now, it's these things that I propose is it become a tracked KPI. So for the whole company, so things like that. If you do a very good discovery, good questions, understand the making decisions, wow, it can be bring much more valuable to the person.
You kind of mentioned one of the topics that I think is fascinating, which is when you don't fully agree with the vision of somebody that made a request. Now, in your case, it worked out fine because you suggested something and they were really happy. But what I've seen, and maybe a lot of people that are hearing to this can relate, is sometimes people come with like, oh, we really need I don't know, we really need a machine learning thing, or we really need a chatbot, or we really need to use AI. And you kind of know, like, you just think that sounds cool, but that doesn't really bring any business value. And if you were to deliver that, they're probably gonna be happy and like, oh wow, you're amazing and everything. So it's not per se bad for you to deliver something like that, but you kind of feel like, yeah, but this is a bit pointless. How do those conversations when you as an expert disagree in many ways with the stakeholder that requests something play out for you? Tell us more about those conversations.
Yeah, that's hard when it happens. But what I like to do is how I say in this first conversation, I understand very deeply their pains. Okay, you want machine learning, okay, and why that? And I gather all this information. And something even that I learned with Juan is that you don't go to this first meeting kind of like showing that you are ready to say no for the person. So I don't say no, no, we can't do a machine learning. We don't have enough history data or things like that. I don't do it. I like to, okay, let's listen. Let's understand from like where this request is coming from. Like you saw, for example, another area in the company doing this, you want as well. What happened? Like, I need to understand better this requirements. And after understanding better the problems, everything, then I can bring to the person like, okay, to develop this solution that you request, maybe will take this amount of time, will cost this, or but we have this another approach that will match with everything that you need, but it's not a machine learning, it's this thing. And then I show to the person the ROI that he's going to have with those another approach that is different from the one that they want. Usually, this helps me and works, but there is some clients that they are very difficult. They want that way, and yeah, I mean, I already did once a data product, but that I knew that was not they want. But at the end, I need to do another one, and I get there, like they start trusting me more. I think that there is this as well, that sometimes the company has so many consultancies experience, and some of those were bad. They kind of like don't trust you, that much. You need to get there, so it's something as well that, for example, in the company that I work today is something that I have with my clients. So it's something that is much better right now. They really like, okay, I'm ready to listen to you. Do whatever you think it is better. But this is something that you build. It is, yeah, it's hard, but we can do
Mhm.
it.
That's interesting. There is a music band. I might misquote this, but I think it's you too. That one time I saw an interview and they said that for every political song that was like a protest song, they had to release so many commercial hits that everybody would like to keep like an S balance. What you're saying here is even if what they ask you, it's like, I don't know, in the grand thing of things, like not an amazing solution or something. You just have to every now and then do it because that leverage in the future will allow you to provide more value in the end. That's a cool way of looking at it that I didn't think.
Yeah.
Nice. The other thing that I would love to ask is we have been talking a bit about like requirement meetings and scoping the problem and everything. But I'm curious to how does that look for you? So imagine you have let's say a 1 hour meeting with somebody you're supposed to build, I don't know, a table, a pipeline, a dashboard for them. How does that requirements meeting go in your case?
Yeah, great question. Usually, I like to first of all, I really like the one book. I don't know if you guys know it. It's called The Mom Test. I like to follow a lot of the principles that they have there. So one of them, it's more like talk about more their life, their problems than the solution. So I try to not get that much in the, for example, dashboard or machine learning, because I don't know if it's actually what they need. So my focus will be in their problem. Another principle that I remember, it's more related to asking things about the past or the current moment. So things like, how is the process today? Can you show me how you do it? Okay, how you get this information? Because if they are asking for you and it actually matters to them, they get this information in some way. They get from system, they get, I don't know, somewhere. And so we can ask them to show us. So show me your process, show how you do it today. This is another thing that I like it. And also talk less and listen more. This is something that I always say to my analysts. It seems very simple, but nowadays we have so many distractions. It's very common to, for example, we are in a meeting, but we are answering an email and on WhatsApp, another thing, doing a lot of things at the same time. And in this time with the customer, you really need to be there. Like, and something that I really like it is taking notes. It's another thing that I like it. While they are saying and ask them like, okay, how you do it? Okay. And for example, another question that I like to do is the impact of that. So for example, if you don't have this data, what impacts you? And this is a good question for me because then I get if that is actually a problem, like, okay, this costs money, basically. Or no, this is just a nice to have. I would like to have this because would be nice, and this way we can understand better their problem. So my questions follows this way. I really like to understand like, okay, how is right now, what decision you need to take, and much less about the solution itself. More at the end, I can ask more about like if I understand they need actually is a machine learning. Okay, I can make more specific questions related to this, but not in the beginning, and it's not like in the most of the conversation is not about the solution. It's more about these requirements. Those are the questions. Usually if it is inside those three principles of the mom task, we will work fine. I will do it. And basically that's it. And then after that, after this business covering this all this gathering all this information, I like to make sure if we align. So at the end of the conversation, I kind of like summary everything, and I send an email to them, like showing
Mm.
everything that we are talking, kind of like a follow up. And then I like to recap everything and then the decisions that were made, and to also reinforce the stakeholders. So, who is being responsible to approve, for example, the data product? Even if it's a table that's being modeling, if it is a dashboard, if it is a machine learning, who is being responsible to approve and say that's okay, it is done. I like to reinforce since the beginning. And I also do like to send kind of like an image. It is simple, but they actually like it, if it is with a progress bar, so I can show them, okay, this is all the process that we're going through. We are here. The next one is this one. And then after we are advancing, I also like to reply the email and say, okay, we are here right now. And this works fine for me because they like to see, okay, we are having progress. We are here right now. And they can see all the process as well, and it's something that works very well over here. So it's how I like to do it. I think there is no like a set of questions that I always do. It depends a lot of the conversation, how it goes. But as I say, if it is in the mom task, probably principles there is the question that I will do.
Interesting, because I've seen it played out in two different ways. Some people do it always with the flow, like be present, always follow up questions. And so it feels more like a therapy session. And then some people come with a list of very structured questions, and it feels more like a job interview. So I guess from that balance, I don't know if you can see my hands from here, but you're a lot closer to going with the moment than having a list of structured questions, right?
Yeah.
What I'm hearing a lot here is this really, first of all, we need to focus when we're talking to people. As you mentioned, it's too easy to have 10 different Slack threads open, 20 different clock code session, answer an email in the back while they're. We all know these people in the meetings. You just see their eyes glaze off, and you're like, you're not listening. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. You lost them at that point, right?
Yes.
Um, having empathy, right? Which I think you're really highlighting here. You're spending like 90% listening to them and sort of understanding, okay, how do they even respond to this? Oh, they're not really responding to that, but they have a little bit of an emotional response to that part. Maybe you should kind of go into that a little bit deeper. Um, I guess what is interesting there is though, like how do you teach others to do that in your team, right? Like it's one thing to do this yourself, and especially when you're dealing with more juniors, right? Like when
Yeah.
they start off in their career, it's all focused on here are the requirements. You build something and then you impress me. That's kind of really how most junior people start getting, a foothold in the industry. But then you shift to these conversations and they have no idea how to do this. So what would you tell them? Like how do you try to like teach people or coach them into like having that mindset shift and sort of be more comfortable doing that? Because as you indicated, right, like a lot of people are very uncomfortable not like filling up all the voids, all the gaps, having silences and letting somebody else take more of the lead in the conversation.
Yeah. Um, so I try some things, and I will say what is working for me right now. The first thing that I try was kind of like write down all the questions that I like to do. But then I realized that there is no like, oh, it's always this way. It depends of the meeting, depends of a lot of things, a lot of variables. But I tried to do it, and I remember that was a request of one of my analysts, and I went to a discover section that she was doing, and I remember that was very she was like reading the questions and was like, okay, done, next one. And I was like, oh no, it's not like this. It's good to have like somehow a structure, I would say, but maybe not that way, like that, that you are reading the questions and make sure you do every, because I think you lose a lot of things that are being saying right now, because we're a very, like paying attention of not losing that question. And so one thing that I do right now, it's more, first of all, I like to ask them to participate of a data discover section with me, so they see how I do it. Is they think that it's being more like valuable to them, because this way they actually can see an example, and they were like, oh, okay, you do this way, oh, you do that way, and they get more about it. And I have kind of like a structure, like the first of all, I like to ask, how I say, more about the past and the current process. Then I like to ask more about the decision they're making from there. And just more at the end, I like to do more about the solution itself. So I think it is more this way. It's more like, okay, what I like to do and how I like to ask first. But something that is working very well is actually bring them to the conversation so they can see how it is. And I also like to show how I prepare myself before the meeting. I actually like to study the stakeholder. So to see, it is like, the person is a director, is an analyst, who is the person who is requesting. I like to see, for example, if they have a degree in data. It happens sometimes. And I know that they will like, I talk about data and things more, in a way, and using words here and there that they will like it. So I like to study a little bit more about the person, the business they are. So it's about marketing, it's about sales, about this or that. And I like to make sure that I know the main words that they can use it, the concepts they usually reveals. And so those are some of the technicals, I would say, that I try to do and teach my analysts as well, like being prepared of this. And yeah, I think it's it.
What you just remind me, on my first day ever as a consultant, my boss back at the time, Matthew, he took me to a pre-sales call. He didn't show me any of the preparation or anything. He took me there. And then at the end, he spent like maybe 15 minutes telling me a little bit of what was in his mind. So it was like, and when this person mentioned something, I got the impression that they were actually worried about the budget. So that's why I steered the conversation in this way. And then this person was saying things like this, but I believe it's because of, and that to me was like super helpful. So what I would compliment to you is like, yes, take whoever you want to teach through a meeting, through the preparation. But to me, the thing that was like a life changer back then was to take 10 more minutes to talk a little bit about the debrief of like, this crossed my mind, or generally when clients mention things like this, they actually mean this.
Yeah.
One thing I find peculiar in your example is you mentioned giving uh, the people some questions and they start reading them one by one in a call. I guess uh, there's obviously the regard there of, is there such a thing as over preparing, right? I mean, on the one hand, of course, you do need to know the language and domain as you're describing, what's sales doing, what's marketing doing, etc., etc. But on the other hand, and I see this a lot in especially data professionals, because so much of your work is really focused on delivering a answer that's as correct as possible and very pristine. That takes a lot of effort and thoughtfulness and preparation, and there's a lot of this focus on preventing to make a mistake and looking bad. But then if you sort of extend that into a sales call or like a discovery call, it works against them because they're too focused on getting a certain thing done, and they're completely missing all the signals and all these nuances that the client is basically showing them. um I think it's really interesting that you have him go on the call, and what you described, Juan, as well. Like that is, I
Yeah.
think, such an important exercise to like really shift from just the technical to being more of a consultant. And we've had a couple of episodes also where we discussed like what is really a good consultant. It's someone that's more well-rounded on the communication side, so on the technical side, maybe even have a little bit of business savvy. So maybe they have some of their own ideas of how the business could run better. Um, I guess one of the things that I find when keeping paper trails, though, which is what you mentioned, you give them like updates in the progress bar, and you send the emails, and you summarize everything. Now, of course, you're gonna talk to tens, hundreds, maybe thousands of people at some point, and it just becomes this giant paper trail, messy monster. So how do you deal with that from a day to day, right? Because I see this going wrong all the time with organizations. A decision goes to like four different teams, five different initiatives, some in email, some in Slack, some in some other place, and people just lose track of what they're even trying to achieve in the first place.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, Usually, what been working a lot here when we're saying about like data products is make sure that we have a data owner, I would say, or data steward, and this person will be responsible to um, and kind of like filtering all the requests that are being done. So I think having it depends of the structure of the companies, of course, but it's something that helps a lot if you have this person because sometimes I had this that, for example, I start developing a data product and okay, I have this person that is my stakeholder. And suddenly, months after that the product was being developing, then we discovered that we have a new stakeholder. And this new stakeholder didn't like that much of the product because they were discussing of point of view of the product. Oh, I want to see in that way and another one in another way. What I really like to do at the beginning is to make sure that I actually know who is making the decision. Who is, okay, I have 4 or 5 stakeholders at the end. Okay, so I need then confirm and, approving. But I think that have this paper of the like the data owner of something of the data, it's actually very helpful if it is possible. It's not always possible, but I think it is very helpful because this person will be responsible to, like sometimes we'll have a lot of requirements, and some of them actually will be better if it is another product. Like because sometimes the person will start requesting so many things, people, and it could be different views of the same product, and maybe we can like developing different things. And I know it is very common to, at least for me, they request things like that all fits in one they are trying to. So sometimes it's in this discovery part is where I try to map as much as possible the stakeholders and kind of like like and have a kind of like a confirmation from them like okay, it's me that will make this decision and I will be responsible for that. I will be responsible to check with my team, for example, and things like that. So at least it's what has been working from here.
And you also mentioned that you currently run a team, right? Just out of curiosity, are they more on the junior side or all over the place?
Mm, most of them are juniors, but I have some that are medium as well.
Maybe one thing that I've been wondering a lot is, do you notice any generational differences between like the more young people that enter the field of data versus people that have been the way that I notice it is I actually was teaching a group of more junior people last year, and what I notice is I'm not talking about like, oh, this generation this that or whatever. No, it's more like I was constantly like, wow, when I was a junior, I wouldn't have thought of that, or when I was a junior, I didn't tackle problems like that. Do you notice some differences between generations in that way?
That's a very interesting question. What I realized, and from like more juniors nowadays, is that they are very, how I can say that, like they depend a lot of AI. I feel like sometimes they didn't learn the thing without AI, which is not a problem. We will use AI, of course, but it's kind of like I can think without AI. I don't know, like if we had some problem with cloud or ChatGPT one day, I don't know if they can do the job sometimes. So I think that one thing, like it depends a lot of AI. It's one thing, and another thing that I would say, um, it is, but I don't know if it is more the personality of our juniors, like, but some of them has a lot of difficult. I think it is something that we have in data to actually communicate with people. I don't know, like connect with people. Something that I always say to them is like, don't be distracted because sometimes um, they really get distracted. Even in a meeting, they're here and they're there. Is something that I already mentioned about it. So I think the distraction, yeah. The communication, but communication could be a problem of everyone. Even a senior could have problems with communication. And I think this dependency of AI, it is something that I actually see a lot. For example, sometimes they show me a code and I ask them, okay, but why this? And say, I don't know, just ChatGPT told me to do this. And it was like, oh my God. So yeah, use AI, but think as well, like it's something that I'm seeing the people that are arriving right now are facing.
When you say about like people over relying on AI, I have mixed feelings because on the one hand, like it kind of sounds logical that when people know how to do something manually, they know it better. But then I also think about it and it's like, for example, I can write Python decently well, but I don't necessarily know how Python under the hood allocates memory to my computer. So to me, it's really hard to like. Do people really need to know how things work as long as they're able to do them? Yes, no. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think in that deep way, it depends on how much like your job requires you. For example, Python. But I think you at least need to be able to explain what you're doing. So, like, oh, I did this because, I need to get this result. And then that's why I did it. Maybe not the technical way. It's more like, like the logic behind. I think you need to be able to understand, even to explain to AI what you want. Like you need to understand the logic and how you want the thing and why you want that. What is the purpose? I think this it will be enough. Maybe you actually right now with AI you don't need to be the best code. You have the best code, but if you, I think you still need to understand what you're doing, because at the end, you will reveal the code, and if you don't understand what is being done, you can't know if it is right or not. So it's something that I had recently a conversation. One of my analysts was showing me like, oh, this number is not matching. I would say, okay, how you calculate that? Show me the code. And when I say I saw the code, he was like, oh, is this? And why are you doing this? Oh, I don't know. It's AI told me to do it. But why? Like you don't need to be that deep, but like you need to understand a little bit. Like, oh, it's doing this because of that, because I passed this. Okay, it's fine. But he couldn't answer me. So I think this kind of like understanding is still very important.
Well, and we did talk a lot about like advice for people that need to deal with stakeholders. but I also want to hear your advice. So for anybody listening that either wants to get into the managerial side of data or just recently got promoted to manager, what are some of the tips that you would give them?
Oh, I would say something that it seems very simple, but for me is very important is actually to care about the people, like actually listen in, because they're saying their problems. We can think about in a creative ways of how we can solve it. As I say, one teaches me a lot when he say about like the no, don't say no at the first time. And it's something that it's been very valuable to me because at this beginning, I listen, then I try to understand as much as possible. Okay, then I will see how this is actually possible to do it or not. Sometimes it's not possible to do everything they want, and it's okay, but I will try as much as possible to deliver valuable to them, even though we have these limitations, for example. So, for example, sometimes they will request this solution. I would say dashboard again. And okay, I can deliver all the 5 pages, for example, you require request, but maybe I can divide in 2 phases, and with the data we have right now, I can give you this 2 pages. And the other three, I will need to ingest data, I will need to modeling data, and I will give you in the second phase. But I already can bring value for you. It's a solution, like maybe I can give you everything right now, but I can try on different approach. And I think that if you listen people very carefully, if you care about them, and you get their requirements, what they need. Maybe we can think in a different approach. It need to be like, oh, we don't have all the data available in the data house. It is not possible. But they need, if you actually did this discover, if they need to make decision and you can make their life easier, why not? Like, let's try something else because limitations we will always face some limitations in the companies. Um, the data will not be beautifully as we have in Kaggle, for example. We will have a lot of troubles and difficult, but maybe we can, navigate this in a better way, think in a different way. Is something that I actually like this kind of like challenging of not everything it is like in their place. It's everything perfect. I like to see how I can think different and a way more creative to solve their problem, like, so yeah, it's something that I would say, like, actually listen then. And after we can think about the solutions. The solutions could be a lot of ways. So yeah, I would say that.
Just to add some personal flavor here, we all obviously always transition from another field into data. I feel like that's like 90% of the people working in data. Now, your background was in international relations. So, what are some of the things that you keep very dearly from that field that you feel are very useful in your job still to this day?
That's a very good question. Um, I'm thinking here. Actually, international relations is something that I think, for example, nowadays I work with people from different cultures. Even though, like, even from India, from Colombia, from Chile, from a lot of countries. And I think that understanding international relations, we study a lot about like something that is like understanding different points of view and try to think in solutions. I think it is something that we have a lot. I remember that I have a class that we are supposed to be like in the government department, and we had to solve a problem. And we were like, you were a country and I'm another. And something that I was like very was very curious is that we realized that there is no solution that everybody will be like happy 100%. Sometimes it's not possible, and to deal with things that are like limitations, like, and you have to do the best as possible with what you have. This is something that I learn a lot, like, and think about the impact. So it's something that I bring a lot from there. And also I think this understand of different cultures. We had a lot of like our marketing, international marketing, and to understand how we need to adapt our language, our even like our body language, everything when we're talking to different cultures, and be very respectful to them. Yes, it's something that I really like it. And I remember right now that I had a customer that is from India, and he's speaks Telugu. And I was one day I was like, okay, I will learn some phrases in Telugu. And I went to the meeting and I say some phrase to him, and he was like, "Oh my god!" And he was so happy, and and he was super serious. He was like, he didn't like to, like to talk that much. He was like very hard. And nowadays, everybody says to me like, "Oh, you transform him." And it's just because I care, like when you will learn a language, their culture, they like, oh, you actually, like care about it. And the same it happens to Spanish, for example. I started to learn Spanish. I can say something here and there, and people are actually very happy about it. So I think this international mind actually, like, and also think about how everything can impact each other. I think right now that with the globalization is something that something that happens in the United States impacts here in Brazil and so on. So it's something that we study a lot, and I kind of like try to bring this to here.
It's funny because that's also even that like the impress people by learning a bit of the language. That's also cultural. I think.
Yes.
Well, Tony, you might know a lot of Northern Europeans when you just say a phrase in their language, they're like, "Oh, please don't try."
True.
But other countries, it's like, "Oh, wow!" So even those little things, it's so culture dependent that it's
That is so
fascinating.
true. Uh,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah,
what is also very interesting on the cultural side, I mean, all of us here have experienced a lot of multiculturalism through our work and through our lives. One of the things that I always vividly remember when well, back in the day, as a student in Amsterdam, we had all these international students coming in. We'd show them around town. They'll give us a little like cultural briefer before we'd have them over, and they would explain us certain things like if you interact with a lot of Asian cultures, they take a lot more time. They sometimes might pause like 1 or 2 minutes after you ask a question because they're really trying to think through and be considerate of the answer they're giving you. Whereas, someone in the United States might give you an answer in minus 1 second, like they're talking over each other, right? And then sometimes even understanding like some of those smaller nuances and differences in communication, even if someone is trained in a different market in a different country, they'll still have that in them, and sort of playing into that a little bit also has helped me personally a ton in consulting as well, other than of course impressing them with beautiful sentences in their own language.
Yeah.
So for those people that want to learn more about you, Gabriela, where can they find you? What's next for you? What should people be paying attention to?
Oh, great. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Gabriela Costa and analytics engineering, and you can find me. I create content every week about analytics engineering and a little bit of what we share here today as well. Most of my content is in Portuguese, my native language, but you can also see some videos in English as well. So feel free to check those out too.